I never thought I would be writing something like this, but after everything that has happened in the last few months, I need to let it out. Maybe someone has gone through something similar, or maybe this will serve as a warning to others. This is the story of how my daughter married a millionaire, and how everything went to hell. It all started a little over a year ago when my daughter Valeria met him. I'll call him Daniel to protect his identity, although part of me wants to scream his name to the whole world. She met him at a gala party, the kind organized by friends of rich friends. Valeria had been invited by a coworker. It was one of those parties in a modern-style house, with ridiculously expensive wine nobody really knows how to serve properly, and people casually talking about investments and cryptocurrencies like it's everyday conversation. According to her, Daniel approached her with a confident smile and an accent no one could quite place, part European, part Latin, totally charming. Impeccable suit, luxury watch, and a business card that read, Global Investor Philanthropist CEO. In less than a week, they were dating. In less than a month, he was driving her around in his sports car, taking her to restaurants where the menu doesn't have prices. She would come home and tell me everything, with that mix of excitement and amazement, like she was living in a soap opera. And I admit I was a little dazzled too. It's not every day your daughter brings home a guy who claims to know Elon Musk. He invited us for lunch one Sunday. He brought expensive wine, again, spoke kindly, called me sir with respect. He had manners, knew about art, and talked about his companies like someone talks about their pets. I couldn't find a single flaw. And the strangest thing, he didn't brag. He would say he didn't like talking about money, that the most important thing was human connection. See how clever he was? 2 months later, they got engaged. Of course, I had my doubts. Wasn't this all too fast? But Valeria was happy. And Daniel had all the right answers. Everything was so perfectly charming that it started to feel unreal. And that should have been my first red flag. When they announced their wedding, we were all stunned. Not because they didn't love each other, or so we thought, but because it was too soon. Barely 3 months after meeting, they already had a date, a venue, and a photographer who worked with celebrities. Valeria told me Daniel didn't want to waste time, that when you know, you know. As a father, I wanted to tell her maybe he didn't know so much. But what do you do when your daughter is convinced she's won the emotional lottery? The wedding looked like something out of Pinterest. They got married in a huge mansion in Valle de Bravo, with floral arrangements that looked like magazine covers. There were live string musicians, wine brought from France, drones filming everything from above. There were even fireworks at the end. Daniel insisted on filming everything. It's my way of showing the world how much I love her, he said. It sounded like theater to me, but no one was listening. He even told me not to worry about anything, that he had a team of people taking care of every detail. And yes, during the wedding, we were all overwhelmed. I admit it. Even I was overwhelmed. I saw my daughter smile with a happiness I hadn't seen since childhood, dancing under the lights with a man who seemed straight out of a movie. But then, the little things started to happen. A week after the wedding, Valeria called me nervously because Daniel's card had been declined at the boutique where they were buying furniture. He, of course, had an explanation. Security system block, problems with the Swiss bank, rich people problems. Then, the next day, she told me Daniel was in a bad mood because someone had betrayed him in an investment. And then that he had to sell a piece of land in Cancun to cover a transaction for one of his partners. See what's happening? Little cracks. Excuses that started to sound overused. I told Valeria to be careful. That something didn't add up. But she got offended. She said I had a negative attitude toward her. You never like anyone, she said. And so I stopped, for love of her. A few months after the wedding, Valeria came back home. Without warning. She arrived one night with dark circles under her eyes, wrinkled clothes, and a face swollen from crying. She carried a small suitcase and an expression I had never seen on her before. I didn't ask anything. I simply opened the door, hugged her, and let her sleep. The next morning, she told me Daniel was gone. Just like that. He told her he had to go to Dubai urgently for business. It would only be a few days. A week passed, then 2. He wouldn't answer the phone. He didn't reply to messages. Valeria started to panic. The worst part? He left her with no money. Yes, exactly as you read. Turns out, he had convinced Valeria to put several things in her name because of trust, a rental contract for an apartment, a joint credit card, which turned out to be only in her name. and even a personal loan that he was supposedly going to pay off right away because it was just to transfer money faster. Spoiler alert, he didn't pay anything. Valeria started receiving calls from the bank, emails demanding payment of the debt, and even notices of asset seizure. The account where he supposedly had millions turned out to be empty. The luxury car he drove was rented. The companies he claimed to be CEO of didn't exist. The guy had a polished smile and an expensive-looking face. I didn't know whether to scream, cry, or go look for him myself. My daughter was shattered. She felt like a fool, humiliated, and even then, she tried to justify him. Dad, it felt so real. He showed me everything. He took me to places I could never have imagined. And she was right about one thing. The level of detail with which he created his character was disgusting. He had fake corporate emails, business cards, even a LinkedIn profile that looked legitimate. Photos of him traveling on private jets, which we later found out were taken on a set built for influencers. But the biggest shock was, she wasn't the first. It all started with a post on his Instagram. Hey, are you also looking for Daniel? I think he did the same thing to me. After Valeria came home, heartbroken and carrying a suitcase that seemed heavier with frustration than with clothes, the only thing that mattered to me was that she was safe. She barely slept, ate even less, and avoided her phone like the plague. One night, while I was trying to stay calm cooking my therapy, I heard her scream from the bedroom. I ran, fearing the worst, and saw her holding her phone, shaking. Dad, I wasn't alone. She had received an Instagram message from a woman named Laura. She was asking if she knew a Sebastian, and yes, it was him. The same face, the same damn charm. Different name, different victim. Laura was an architect from Monterey. That night we talked over a video call. When she told us her story, my stomach twisted. Same formula, luxury, expensive suits, rented cars, fake investments, and then the disappearance. He kept asking her for money, kept talking about eternal love and urgent matters, kept leaving her in debt. I tried not to explode in front of Valeria, but inside, I swear I had never felt so much rage. I wanted to find him, look him in the eyes, make him pay for every tear he caused my daughter and everyone else. The worst part was discovering they weren't the only two. With Laura's help, and by joining a forum I didn't even know existed, for women scammed by international boyfriends, we started pulling strings. And there were more. A girl in Guadalajara, another in Bogota, another in Madrid. All with different names, but one thing in common, the same damn guy. The same face. The same pattern. Some went to the police, and you know what they were told? It's not a crime. It's a civil matter. As if falling in love with someone, being lied to for months, and having your bank account emptied was just a joke. One of them tried to track the bank account where the money was sent. The result? A shell company in Panama. Which means, this guy knew exactly what he was doing. He wasn't an amateur. He was a professional scammer. The type who studies his victims and becomes the perfect person, just to disappear when he gets what he wants. Everyone started gathering evidence. Screenshots, photos, voice messages, even emails. And the most incredible thing, there were details that were repeated word for word. It was like he had a script. Valeria started to change. I won't say she healed overnight, but something I hadn't seen in her for a long time ignited. Strength. She decided she wasn't going to sit idly by. If the authorities wouldn't do anything, she would. We created a WhatsApp group with other women and started gathering all the information we had. And then I realized that this guy had no idea who he was messing with. Because there's no force more dangerous than a group of wounded women united in search of justice. After weeks of piecing the puzzle together with other victims, the WhatsApp group, which at first was just a refuge for shared tears, became an improvised intelligence team. We had screenshots, audio recordings, fake names, IP addresses, suspicious locations, even a list of restaurants and hotels where the guy stayed. And I couldn't stay on the sidelines. By then, I wasn't just Valeria's father. I was obsessed. I searched public databases, examined photographs closely, cross-referenced data in international records. All this from my desk, surrounded by cold coffee and burning rage. Until one afternoon, one of the girls, the one from Bogota, shared something key. A real-time location she had gotten through an Uber Eats account that Daniel had forgotten to log out of on his old phone. It was Mexico. Mexico City. The Roma neighborhood. We didn't know how long he would be there. We didn't even know if it was really him. But it was the first solid lead we'd had in weeks. Valeria hesitated, her hands shaking as she told me. I didn't hesitate. I called an old friend who works as a lawyer in the city and told him everything. There's no quick legal way, he told me. But he added something else. If you see him, record it. Document it. Make a scandal. And that's exactly what we did. Valeria, Laura, and another victim went to the area. I went with them. We were nervous, but determined. We saw him coming out of a cafe, no suit, no hat, nothing. As if he didn't know the world a thing. Valeria filmed him. She approached him. She said his real name, which we had learned thanks to one of the girls who knew a private investigator. He blushed. His smile trembled for the first time. We didn't yell. We didn't touch him. We just said, "We know who you are. And you can't keep doing this." The video went viral. Not in a gossipy way, but with power. Women shared it, warned others, recognized him. They posted it on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. We exposed him. And soon after, several new victims started to come forward. He was arrested at the airport while trying to leave the country with a fake passport. He's currently on trial. It's not the perfect justice we dreamed of, but it's a start. The guy will have to answer for at least some of the charges. And his reputation as a world-class businessman has been completely shattered. Valeria is still in the process of healing. I know it takes time, but she's smiling. She sleeps. She walks with her head held high, knowing that she wasn't just a passive victim, but part of the downfall of the con man. And meanwhile, it's enough for me to see her like that. Strong, free, fully aware that not even the fake millionaire could completely extinguish her light. Thank you for reading this far. The only thing I can tell you is, listen to your intuition. It's not always paranoia. Sometimes it's a voice trying to protect you from the charm of a skilled liar.